everyone, and welcome back to the source code Sasquatch. And for part 2 of our Django tutorial, we're gonna uh, for part 2 of our tutorial, we're gonna configure and adjust our project to be able to work on a development environment and also onto a production server right off the bat, right? Like I said, is one good practice in coding is always planning ahead. And as we know that for this project that we will be deploying on Heroku and AWS. So in light of this, we're going to set up our developing environment to work with a local database, and then afterwards, once we push our application through the production server, then it will be operating on a whole other file. So this is what we're going to do right now. So let me bring up the our screen, and then I'll load up our code editor. There you go. Whoop, sorry. Let me close this. So let me load our code editor right here. Clear up the terminal and look at our files right now that we've created. Right in the first part of our video, we've created a config file for our project. Then we created a event vibe folder for our app, and we have our virtual environment. And then we see right here when we started the server, manage.py automatically created a SQLite database that we will be accessing later down the tutorial. And yeah, so now we're going to be adjusting our project for development and production environments. And to do so, what we need to do is in our config file right here, or sorry, in our config folder, we're going to create a new folder. And that folder, we're going to name it settings. Make sure to type in the typo correctly. If not, it's gonna create some bug down the road. So now setting folder is created, and in that folder we're gonna create a file. Okay, and that file we're gonna call it underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. And by creating the init.py file, the file is a special Python file, right? When we name it the init.py with the syntax that I've just given you guys, it's a special Python file that is used to mark a directory as a Python package. The file can be empty or it can contain some code. As we progress in our tutorials, you'll see we'll be modifying these files and whatnot, and they'll execute when the package is imported. When a directory is marked as a package, it allows Python to use the import statement to load the module from the package. For example, if you have a package name my package with a module name my module, you can import the module in your code with the statement import my package dot my module. The init.py file can also be used to define some variables or functions that are available to the module within the package. This can be useful for sharing common functionality across modules. Anyways, so now we're going to move the settings.py file into the folder settings, right? If you see right here, we have the settings.py file, and we're going to move it into the folder settings. We're going to be prompted to if we want to move our file. Yes, we do. So now we see in the folder we have the init.py and we have the settings.py. Then now what we're going to do is we're going to change the name of settings.py and we're going to name it base, because this is the file that's going to contain both information for the development environment and the production environment. So now we've renamed our file base.py. And then after, we're going to create two new files within our settings folder. The first one is going to be dev.py, obviously for development purposes. And then in our setting files, we're going to also create a prod.py for our production server. Now that that is done, the next step is within both files, the prod.py and the dev.py, we're going to right away tell it to import from base, import, and then we'll put a asterisk to ask to import everything that is within the base file.py, right? So we do this in dev.py. We save our file by Control S, and then after we copy this line, right, we want to save some time, so we just go and paste it in our prod.py and we save that file as well. So now that that is done, we need to tweak these three files. So we're going to close our init.py because we're going to leave it empty, right? That's just to call upon that folder when we load the application. So in our base.py, we're going to scroll down around line 16, right? We're going to go right here to the line that says base underscore dir for directory. And at the end of this line, we're going to add a parent. And the reason why we're doing this is that this line of code defines the base directory for our Django project, where we use the path module to get the absolute path of the directory, where the settings.py file is located, now being the base.py, and then traverse the directory thrice, right? To reach the root directory. That resolves the method, the resolve method, resolve any symbolic links in the path, and the parent attribute gives the parent directory of the current directory. In this case, we call the parent thrice to get the project root directory. Bottom line is it's just to point the app to look in the right folder, get the setting files. There you go. So now that this is done, we're gonna scroll down, and in our application, we're gonna look for the lines that says security. Sorry, did I pass it? Oh yeah, right here. Security warning, right? We want to take line 22 to 28. And now if your files are slightly different depending on the version you're getting and whatnot, you want to select the secret key, the debug, and the allowed host line, and you want to cut it out of the base directory, or the base file, sorry. And now you want to go and paste it in the dev, right? You're going to go in the dev directory, you're going to paste it right there, and you're also going to go in the production file, and you're going to paste it right there. And also, when I mentioned dev, it's not a directory, but a file. Now we have all three files that needs to be saved. So file, save all, and there you go. Now all three files are saved. Now for the next step, we're going to go into our base file, and now we're going to go into the installed apps of our project. And now we're going to add a few things. The first one that we need to add is the event vibe app, right? You want the project, the application, to look in the event vibe folder. So we're going to add event vibe. Then after we'll add a comma. And we're also going to add Django extension. So we'll go Django underscore extensions with an S. And then after we'll put another comma, and also we'll put in storage. Now, storage with an S, and we'll also put a comma. Now, whenever you're installing a dependency, some of them need to be added to your installed app and some don't. And usually you'll find the documentation of that particular dependency letting you know what you need to do. If not, look up into any coding community, and you will see and you will get the support of the community letting you know what needs to be done. Okay, now the next step, once this is done, is you will add some requirement that needs to go at the top of your base file, right? Okay, so we'll push these lines down, and on line 1, we're going to type in import OS. So what is the import OS, right? The import OS module is used to interact with the operating system in a way that is independent of the underlying system. Django underscore, and I made a mistake right here. There you go. Django underscore Heroku, and the Django Heroku package makes it easier to deploy a Django application to the Heroku. So this one is going to be slightly different. We're gonna call on to from the decouple module. We only want to import the config package, right? So the decouple is a package that helps you manage your application setting by storing them in a .env file. Basically that's what it does. Then after the next one, it's going to be from the config. Okay, so from the .env module, import the load underscore .env, and also import the find underscore .env. And what these two packages do, the load.env and the find.env, are functions that are provided by Python, the .env package that loads the environment variables from a .env file. Essentially, that's pretty much what it does. So after this is done, we'll need to add 2 lines to replace the database for our package. So to do so, we're going to go down to the database portion of the app right here, and we're going to erase that. And we're going to change, first we're going to tell it from load underscore .env. Open your parentheses, find underscore .env. And then, since this is also a function within a function, we're going to create, we're going to close, and we're going to open and close some parentheses. Then after, we're going to type in all capital letters, database equals, open and close curly braces, and within our curly braces, we're going to put in apostrophe, then default, then colon, DJ underscore database underscore URL dot config, open your parentheses once again, default equals apostrophes SQLITE colon // then db dot SQLITE3, and that is it. Okay, the load.env, that line loads the environment variable from the .env files located using the find .env method from the .env package. The database dictionary specifies the default database configuration. The DJ database URL .config method retrieves the database URL from the environment variables, and the database URL is set as the default configuration. If the database URL environment variable is not found, it uses the SQL database with the file name database SQL3 in the project base directory, right? In other words, is if it cannot find on the production server the URL to the database onto our Heroku platform, then it will revert to the development environment, and it will use the default SQLite database that is located into our root folder, if that makes sense. So that's it for now, for this. And now we will need to also we'll need to remove some line at the bottom of our base file, right? So let's scroll all the way down to our the bottom of our base file, and you will see line 116 to 119. We do not need these in our base file, so we'll just erase those. And now we'll save our file. The next step is we're going to go into our development.py file, and now we'll add a few more lines under the lines that we used, the lines that we inputted earlier into our file. So the first one is we're gonna call on to our static underscore URL, and we'll set this this line. We'll set it to static /. So that will tell our application to go look into the static folder for the static files. Then after, okay, so now we're gonna add these lines. The first one is gonna be static underscore URL equals apostrophes static /. There you go. And then the next one, it's going to be static, all capital, underscore root is equal to base underscore directory / open your apostrophes, and then we'll type in static files. So essentially what these two lines are doing is the static URL and the static root are used to specify the location of the static files. Example, the CSS, the JavaScript, or the images in the application. And the static URL is the URL prefix for static files with static root in the file system path to the directory where the static file will be collected during deployment. So to make this short, it's simply to tell the system, the development environment, where to look for the static files. There you go. So then after, we're going to add the file right here. The line, sorry, right here. We're going to add media underscore URL is equal to apostrophes media /. And then after, we'll also add media underscore root is equal to os dot path dot join, open your parentheses, base underscore directory, comma, space, apostrophes, media. And on the media root, the os.path.join base directory media, in that statement, the os.path.join is a Python method that joins one or more path component into a single path. The path component are passed as argument to the method, and in this case, base directory and media are the two path components that are being joined together. Again, it's just a way to manage our files and find our media files within our application. So, and then after, we'll also the following line, the allowed host in our development environment, will let it know that we are willing to accept any connection, right? The asterisks represent the all function, right? We select all functions. So therefore, here in this instance, allowed host, we're giving it permission to connect to have all of allowed hosts. So we're just minimizing some errors and whatnot down in our development environment. But in our production environment, this will not be the case. So now that this is done, we're going to take care of our production file. So let's go into a production file, and now we'll look right here where it says a secret key. We're going to erase that, right? Because our production server will not be using the same key to connect to the database. So we're going to change this line to equals, right? Secret key equals config, and config will call onto the module that will go onto the Heroku server and use the variable. There you go. This plain and simple. Then after, we'll into our the next line, the debug line, we will change it to false, because we do not want our application to give out unwanted information. And when you are in debugging mode, the system will show you the path that it's tried and where the issue is happening. But in your production server, you just wanted to give out a plain text, this page is unavailable, or there's an error, without necessarily showing everything that the application has generated for the debugging session. So anyways, that being said, we set our debug to false, and then after we will, and this here, what we'll do is, for now, we'll just put in like event vibe, or sorry, here you'll put in your app name dot for the Heroku app.com. The next step right here is we're going to add the AWS handling lines of codes. And this, it's pretty long. So what I have is a line of code, or a code snippet, that I just usually copy and paste. So if you want, you can just save your file right here, and or you can pause the video right here and just copy what is on the screen. So essentially, right, the access key and the secret key and the storage bucket name and so on, those are all configuration settings that will cater to down the road once we are ready to deploy our application onto the Heroku server. Okay, so once we're ready to deploy our application onto the production server, and then after, we'll also add on the Heroku login handler, and as well, this one we'll just copy and paste it at the bottom of our file. There you go, for the Heroku login. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it right now for this file, for our production.py. So now we need to do a few more settings, because if you try to run the server, we'll see that it's letting us know that something is not working well. We need to make some change. So the first one, will go back into our config folder. Then after, we'll go down to the asgi.py file, this one right here. And at the end of our config.settings, we'll let it know to go look into the dev file. And then we'll save this right here. We'll do the same thing for our wsgi.py. We'll let it know that we want it to go look into the dev file. And lastly, we will go down to our manage.py file and we'll let it know. We'll let it know that we wanted to execute, to look into our dev file as well. So .dev, and then we save this. And now if we run our server one more time, everything should run just fine and dandy, as we can see right now. Let's go take a look, and we see our application is working. Everything is beautiful, and this completes the second portion of our tutorial. I hope that you guys really enjoyed. If you did, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment into the comment section. Also, if you have any suggestion or question, and let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. And until then, take care, happy coding, and we will see you on the next chapter or the next portion of our Django tutorial, part 3. What is part 3 again? Let me just check right here. Okay, part 3. So in part 3, we're going to start to develop the structure of our app. This is going to get very interesting. We're going to dab a little bit with some HTML, some CSS, some JavaScript, database. We're going to build a module for our application, and we're going to create a admin portion to be able to manage our website or our app content. So this is going to get very excited. I hope that you guys are happy. So before we go any further, let's just close this server, go into our source content manager or our version control, and then right here we're going to type in commit. And what should we call this commit right here? We've set up our setting, our base, our dev, and production file. So we're gonna go base, dev, production, just to let us know what we've done right here. And we'll commit this file and we'll upload it to our GitHub repository. And there you go. So again, happy coding, guys, and I will see you in part 3 of this tutorial. And until then, good night.